a nation rich in resources and cultural diversity, yet often eclipsed by its more boisterous neighbor. Yes, we're talking about Canada, a highly developed first world endowed with an abundance of natural resources and a population known for their politeness. It might be overshadowed by its far more influential and much louder sibling to the south, but Canada holds its own as a formidable economic powerhouse. Canada's economic prowess is indeed noteworthy. It is one of the world's top 10 trading nations with a highly globalized economy. Its primary industries, mining, oil, and logging, serve as the backbone of its economic system, contributing significantly to its GDP. Canada also boasts of a robust manufacturing sector, particularly in the field of automobile and aircraft manufacturing. The country has a high standard of living and is known for its economic freedom. Furthermore, as a member of the G7, an elite group of the world's largest economies, Canada's influence on the global economic stage cannot be understated. It also enjoys a special relationship with its Commonwealth partners, with a shared history, institutions, and language fostering closer economic ties. Delving deeper, Canada's status as a Commonwealth country is an integral part of its identity. While it is a free and independent state, Canada is part of the Commonwealth of Nations, intergovernmental organization of 54 countries that were mostly territories of the former British Empire. This connection allows Canada to maintain diplomatic, political, and economic ties with some of the world's most influential nations like the UK, India, and Australia, significantly enhancing its global standing. Canada's geography, too, is both a blessing and a curse. It's worth mentioning the intriguing relationship Canada has with skilled immigration, a subject that divides opinion. Despite its reputation for civility, immigration is a topic many Canadians grapple with. But it's hard to ignore that Canada has one of the highest foreign-born populations in the world. As estimated by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs in 2015, almost 22% of Canada's population comprises individuals born outside the country. It's worth noting that this 22% isn't exclusively made up of non-Canadian-born citizens. It's a mix of foreign citizens who are permanent residents, and those on various types of visas, from student and spousal visas to comprehensive work visas. These give individuals nearly all the rights of a Canadian citizen except for voting rights and a few other minor benefits. Canada's economic prowess. Canada's economic expansion has been largely shaped by its open immigration policies. The wealth of this nation has seen a significant boost in its economic activity due to the arrival of skilled migrants. Numerous studies have confirmed the powerful link between a nation's economic growth and its intake of skilled migrants. For example, a skilled engineer migrating from China to Canada not only brings along their expertise, but also their financial resources. This flow of money and skills gives more to the Canadian economy than the migrants earn in wages. Contrary to the argument about immigrants stealing job opportunities from native citizens, these individuals often fill roles and professions that are severely understaffed in the labor market. This is mostly due to Canada's careful immigration policy that prioritizes skilled labor immigration based on the country's labor needs. Additionally, Canada's student visa scheme has been another key factor in bolstering the nation's economy. The Canadian Bureau for International Education reported that around 245,000 international students were studying at secondary or post-secondary level in the country in 2017. This number has been on a rising trajectory, and we can expect it to be significantly higher in the present years. This influx of international students has proven to be a lucrative export for Canada, as these students import substantial financial resources from their home countries. However, outside of immigration, Canada's trade policies and financial regulations also have a crucial part in the nation's economic prosperity. Canada has proactively forged various trade agreements that foster steady economic growth. The government's trade policies aim to increase international collaboration and secure market access for Canadian goods and services. Financial regulations in Canada are also robust and well-designed. The Canadian financial regulatory framework is designed to safeguard consumers' interests while fostering healthy competition among financial institutions. This ensures a stable and dependable financial system, which is a main driver of economic growth. On the downside, there are some drawbacks linked to skilled immigration, notably the increase in living costs due to the of wealthy migrants. This is especially noticeable in real estate prices like in Vancouver, a city favored by wealthy immigrants and international students. Consequently, home ownership has become increasingly challenging for many local residents, with average property prices in Vancouver's suburbs far exceeding the national average wage. In conclusion, Canada's economic prowess is largely attributable to its support of skilled immigration and international education, in tandem with its effective trade policies and financial regulatory system. However, the hindrances that accompany it, such as the rising cost of living, need to be addressed to maintain an equilibrium in the economic environment. The Commonwealth Connection, a comprehensive study of Canada's economy, property taxes, resource abundance, and the impacts of its currency and UK's economic influence. Shockingly, the real estate taxes payable by Vancouver's inhabitants are determined by their property's valuation. This indicates that senior citizens might be forced to abandon a home that's fully paid off due to tax obligations, calculated on a market value that's 20 to 30 times the original property price. This stirs a societal debate about the privilege of individuals to own high-cost homes, a discussion we'll bypass for now. Nevertheless, it's evident that nations with high homeownership rates are often wealthier in the long term. This pattern could conceivably result in Canada falling short of this common financial gauge. As per economies abundant in resources such as Norway, Australia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, each possessing distinctive traits. Norway has prudently managed its resource assets by nationalizing a significant portion of the income and diverting it into an investment fund. Australia's resources benefited the country by creating jobs and industries domestically, although this was somewhat limited, and numerous critics claim that mining corporations drained much of the wealth, leaving the average Australian with little benefits from the resource boom. At the other end of the spectrum are countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, a nation rich in resources but marked by extreme poverty among its citizens due to harsh political and structural problems. Canada sits in the middle of this spectrum. It has introduced a mining tax to distribute the nation's natural wealth among its citizenry. This is achieved through a national mining tax and individual mining taxes for each province and territory in the country, with the exception of Prince Edward Island, which has no mines. This approach is quite responsible, given that once the resources are extracted and exported, they are not replenished. Therefore, it's vital that some of the revenue from these resources is invested in the country's future for a time when it won't rely on exporting these assets. Moving on to Canada's currency, the Canadian dollar, CAD, its worth and stability hold a notable part in the country's economic performance. The CAD has shown resilience due to Canada's significant natural resources, strong institutions, and stable political landscape. Furthermore, the economic sway of the UK also affects Canada and its currency. Despite being separated by an ocean, the UK and Canada share a deep-rooted historical and economic bond. Any shifts in the UK's economy, such as Brexit, can potentially impact Canada's economy. For instance, the devaluation of the UK pound due to Brexit had a knock-on effect on the CAD, highlighting the interdependence of global economies. Lastly, let's explore how geography influences the Canadian mining industry and the broader Canadian economy. Positioned to the north of the United States, Canada reaps the benefits of having a mighty and stable military, political, and industrial ally. The United States has the most extensive and valuable consumer market worldwide, providing Canada with a privileged position in global trade. The UK's influence on Canada. Canada is one of two countries that have a direct land connection to this nation. The other is Mexico, which, lives in somewhat less fantastic conditions. This means, of course, that a lot of its foreign trade is with the United States, which is a very lucrative arrangement. Also, it means that the Canadian government does not have to spend as much money on defense as few would dare to wage war in the 21st century, or so we hope. This can be seen directly when comparing it with Commonwealth countries such as Australia, which with a slightly smaller landmass and population, spends 50% more of its GDP on its annual military expenditure. This location also means that Canada has direct access to the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to trade directly with Europe and Asia, which in turn is of great benefit to an economy like Canada's. But it's not all perfect. Canada's geographic location has negatively impacted the country's economy in many ways. Much of Canada's landmass consists of the sparsely populated Arctic tundra. This also happens to be where many resources are located. This makes the extraction of resources much more expensive than in a regular economy. If you have ever seen ice road truckers, you know that the conditions in which these mines operate are extreme and cost a lot of money to run. Compared to mines in Australia, the United States, or stable Middle Eastern countries, the average Canadian mine has a lower profit margin because of these environmental costs. Perhaps the most recent example of Canada's industrial handicap is its shale oil reserves. Shale oil is extracted through a very intensive industrial process that is more expensive than simply pumping liquid crude out of the ground. However, this industry is successful in many countries around the world, including the United States. Canada has everything it needs to embark on this type of oil production. First of all, it has shale oil. That's great. There would also be people willing to invest the hundreds of millions of dollars required to build these facilities, because Canada is a safe, stable democracy that protects the interests of free enterprise. Plus, the country has the water supplies needed for this work and enough remote locations to do it without impacting nearby populations. Because fracking is quite harmful to the local environment, it must be said. The only real reason why shale oil extraction has not really taken off yet is that there are simply better investments to be made in the mining industry. Shale oil extraction is already more expensive than liquid oil extraction. When you then add in the additional costs of operating in harsh environments like Canada, it simply makes more economic sense to invest in more lucrative oil fields in other countries. In conclusion, Canada is a large developed market player that is trusted by people from all over the world who are looking for a nation to trade with, invest in, or even call home. However, despite its many advantages, Canada is not without its challenges. Its geographical location and harsh environment make resource extraction more costly. Yet, Canada's stable political environment, lucrative trade links, and potential for oil production draw significant interest and investment. The country's economic narrative is a testament to its resilience and adaptability, which continues to shape its global impact and prospects for future prosperity. Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the latest video. If so, please like it and subscribe and comment your thoughts about Canada. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.